This is Bottom of the Bill. We were talking about hate on the internet. We had a TikTok clip go viral. People were telling me that I've never accomplished anything, and when I die, no one will remember who I am. To sit there and just absorb it on a regular basis is like not good for your mental health.
No.
So now Christo logs on TikTok. I have no idea what's happening on the Bottom of the Bill TikTok.
They still think you're a fucking idiot.
The better I do and the more things that I do, the more trolls I get. So I feel like that's a marker of success now. I'm gonna write songs forever, no matter what. I didn't start writing songs to be in a band. I didn't start writing songs to be on the internet. I just started writing songs because I freaking have to. There are some people like me that you just have to write songs. That's what you are.
How did we do this shit last time? Oh, yeah, I remember how we did it.
I'm riding a high. I'm so pumped up. Jamming is fun again.
Coming in a little less hot this week.
Those AM shoots will do it to you, you know?
Yeah, I also went to Muay Thai this morning with Kevin. And
nice.
I've been trying to get him into coming to Muay Thai with me.
He's the perfect guy to do it. That dude is a freak,
bro.
In the gym.
He's got like the hardest kicks.
I believe. Well, he's a soccer player.
I know.
So he'll kick the shit out of you.
Look at my arm. We were working.
That's from Ramos.
We were working pads today, and
oh my god.
And he just doesn't. It's like when you're first starting out, you don't know how to control or like throw everything the right way. So we're showing him how to use the pads and how to kick it and this and that. So he's coming in and just fucking throwing them, dude. I mean, and he's already got like these tree stumps as legs.
Yeah, dude.
And then they're just then he knows how to throw them with playing soccer. So he's like coming in just like baseball bats. He's like missing the pads and smacking the shit out of my forearm. So yeah, I got a little bit of blood here, but
that's a nice one.
It's all good. I'm happy he's coming with me. It's fun.
Yeah, dude. I was gonna say he and I've been going to the gym, and he has been just absolutely kicking my ass. He's an athletic asshole. It's great.
Yeah.
He was on tour. I've told you this, but he was on tour, and when he was on the road, they had this personal trainer come out and work with him, but that personal trainer was an Olympic medalist in figure skating, and so they showed him all this core work, and Ramos has been getting me on the core work, and it's just really not my thing. But he's flying out. He goes, "Nah, dude, you got to do it with me. Come on, let's go." So he learned all these fucking really cool core exercises that are just
kicking your ass.
Holy fuck, man. So thanks, Kevin. Appreciate that. He's literally kicking your ass and mine at the same time.
That's awesome. I love starting the day like that, though. There's like nothing better than walking into a podcast after just trying to not get hit for an hour straight.
Yeah, just dodging bullets.
Yeah.
So what you been doing this week?
Just learning some tunes for a gig tonight. And then something else happened for sure, because I was going to talk about it. But you just got back from North Carolina, though.
Yeah, I went up to North Carolina Sunday, first thing in the morning, like at 4 a.m., and spent time with the family. It was my birthday, and just went and hung out on the farm. We did some climbing up in the mountains, or just like hiking, and then ate some good meals, and kind of just hung around Winston-Salem a little bit. But it was nice to just dip out and get away for a little while. I don't do that very often. I hadn't been up there since Christmas, so I know the family was super excited, and it was nice to see all them, and just all 5 of us were hanging out, which actually we hadn't done because my brother didn't come up for Christmas, so I don't think the 5 of us have been together in almost a year. So that was really nice, just to be everyone in the same room, just hanging out. It was definitely needed. I pushed on Saturday really hard. It was one of the last shows at 1904, so I did 3 sets that day and squeezed in 2 rehearsals, and then got right on the plane at 4 a.m. So burned really, really hard, and then took that time to just chill and recuperate and kind of reset, which was really cool, really nice. The 1904 stuff was great too. Right before that, played with Cluster and Sauce Pocket. It was the last show I got to play there. There was 2 more after that, but it was definitely an emotionally charged show. I heard a lot of good feedback from the crowd, which I don't know about you, but try not to take that in. You take it with a grain of salt, you know what I mean? Everyone's there to have a good time. They're always hyping everyone up, but it was one of those kind of few times where I felt like the response from the crowd was about what was deserved from what my standards were, which is really mismatched most of the time. But like that one, I felt like pretty even with it. I'm like, that was a good way to go out over there. It was needed, kind of catharsis, just to like let that go, leave nothing on the table, and just go do the thing. So
hell yeah,
that's pretty much my week, was burn really, really hard and then do nothing at all, and then kind of come back and get into the swing of it, which was awesome.
Yeah. Well, that's a fucking dope way to leave off 1904.
Yeah, it was a packed room. Just, played some originals with Cluster, made some cool spontaneous jams with the Sauce Pocket guys, and then watched Bonnie Blue just like really rip and do their thing, and everyone in the room was just a ball of energy. It was great. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I said my goodbyes on Monday at the Jam.
Very nice.
Yeah, it was packed. It was good to see a lot of people, and
I saw there was a ton of players out. I had some FOMO, but I was watching along at home, and it was a who's who. There was a ton of people out there.
Yeah, man. A lot of the LPT guys were out there. I mean, there was so many guys there. I mean, so many people that were out there. It was great.
Yeah.
And I got to jam for a little bit. It was fun, but I did not enjoy the way that I played.
Yeah, come on.
It's just one of those things where when you feel good about what you did versus when you don't. It's just one of those things where you just get in your head about shit and fucking playing next to Steve, Mr. Rockstar.
Yeah.
He's fucking just like killing it absolutely, and then just like the power stance and all, and like dressed up like you doing the whole thing.
Yeah,
I'm just like up there, I'm like, all right, so what am I gonna do now?
Well, have you tried putting on makeup before you play? That might be the secret, actually.
Yeah.
that might do it. Some guy liner might take your licks to the next level.
We love you, Steve.
You got any good recommendations, buddy? Leave them in the comments for us.
Shout out to Steve Honig. It's our boy. So yeah, but it was cool, man. I'm glad I got to say my goodbyes to everybody, and
nice.
I'm curious to see what they do with that space, and how Underbelly starts to perform after this.
And like where what's gonna happen with the Funk Jam and all that stuff, because that's been going on 9 years, I think.
Yeah, it's like a staple here.
Yeah, so hopefully they're able to work that out and keep that going, keep that alive and well.
Yeah.
It's good for the community, so
for sure.
Yeah, Jason's always cooking stuff up. I saw him briefly on Saturday when I was over there, and he was nothing but smiles and good vibes, and was just, he's, I think, constantly optimistic. This is just like one endeavor. It's a huge part of our music scene, but like he's got his hands in so many things. Like I think he's always got something cooking and stuff he's working on. So
yeah, for sure.
I'm sure, it's a blow, but I know he's going to rebound and keep it rolling. It's just how he does,
Yeah, totally. All right. So this week on the podcast, we have Tori Nance. I'm super excited about this episode because she was, just an absolute pleasure to have on. And she's super talented, man. Great songwriter, great singer,
multi-instrumentalist.
Even like while she's on stage, she's playing drums and she's playing guitar at the same time while she has a band as well. And we get into all that and that whole thing, and the insane anxiety that I would fucking have.
Yeah.
Where she somehow hones that in. Anyways, it's really cool. She's also got like a bunch of new music dropping as well.
Yeah.
Look out for that. I'm super stoked to hear it because, again, I love everything she puts out. Her social media looks phenomenal. Mm-hmm. She's just doing everything right. She's an artist that I'm very excited about right now.
Totally.
We have merchandise to support. Check out the links below in the description. And as always, share, like, subscribe. If you're getting something out of this, or you want to support your people or support us, sharing it and getting the word out is super important. And subscribing to our channel or following us on Spotify or wherever you're getting podcasts, just to help us keep growing this thing and keep it moving, bringing more awareness to our scene, and just being able to like get more insight from different artists from around the country. So anyways, that's the spiel. Enjoy the episode with Tori, guys. Here it goes. This is Bottom of the Bill. So yeah, we were talking about like hate on the internet. We had a TikTok clip go viral of me talking shit about the guitar solo at the end of Layla. And then again, it was like kind of satire and supposed to be a little funny, but I did somewhat mean it. And people were telling me that I've never accomplished anything, and when I die, no one will remember who I am. And like just like an onslaught of just lots of things like that. So I just kind of stopped reading the comments after a while, because it's not like it was like, I don't know who these people are, so it doesn't really bother me that much. But to sit there and just absorb it on a regular basis is like not good for your mental health.
No.
So I just kind of stopped paying it. So now Chris still logs on the TikTok when he's uploading videos, and he'll see the notifications, and I have no idea what's happening on the bottom of the bill TikTok. But
They haven't gotten any nicer.
Yeah.
By the way, they're just people just take a while to see them. Like maybe they don't get on TikTok for a year or something like that, but they still think you're a fucking idiot.
yeah, I mean, I would tend to agree with them half the time. So what have you been? You've been experiencing some stuff.
Yeah, so like I thought it took a lot of guts to like get up on stage and play music in front of people that were vulnerable songs, but like I had no idea what it was like to be on the internet so publicly, because I've always been very much not a social media person, and now I have to be.
Yeah.
And it just like shocked me. I could not believe the things people say. I had someone, Tracy, she's local. She made t-shirts. She makes t-shirts for a lot of bands. And they say, I fucked around and found out on the back of them, because that's a song that I wrote called Found Out. And people locally love the shirts. Like they bought them like immediately before the other ones. People on the internet, I posted those, and people were like, this is disgusting. Like, I don't listen to music with disgusting, vulgar language. So I replied, and I sent a link to the song WAP. And I was like, this is what vulgar means. Like, saying I fucked around and found out is not vulgarity. Like, it's profanity, but it's not vulgar. Like, vulgar has a totally different connotation. There's been a lot of hate for that song, which is hilarious, but it's one of my favorite songs. I'm gonna play it forever.
It's a great song, by the way. I've been going through your whole discography over the last few days, just kind of checking out what you do, and I'm a big fan, by the way. I love the music. I love the writing. Production quality is great. Arrangements are really cool. That song I like a lot as well. I thought it was like very cleverly written.
Yeah, and it's so relatable.
Yeah, totally.
And like there's just sometimes the F word is necessary.
Yeah.
Like not in most cases I feel like, I try to be clever and I try to be creative and not curse now when I can, but sometimes it just makes a bigger impact. So I'm going to keep doing that, but I've got a lot of hate for that, and then just like troll comments all day long about every video that I make. Like, it doesn't matter what I do. I could like paint the Mona Lisa and they would be like, oh my God, like your shorts are so short. Like, look, what are you wearing? Like, oh my God, why does your face look like that? Or like your hair is doing this or that. And it's like, whatever.
It's always something. They're always going to find something to hate on. At the end of the day, people like what you've been able to do is amazing, because you've taken these ideas that were in your head, and you've not only fleshed them out, but you've recorded them and you put them out into the world forever. Now they exist, and people can hear your creative contribution to existence. And that's a feat that most people will never be able to say they've done, so they can go fuck themselves.
It's true, yes. But that's just like, I think that happens to everyone though. I think the better I do and the more things that I do, the more trolls I get. So I feel like that's a marker of success now. Like as many Spotify streams and trolls as I can get, and I'm doing good.
Yeah. Some of the songs have been doing really well on the streaming platforms.
Yeah. One More Night, I think, is the favorite.
Okay.
But someone told me at a show at the Walrus last night that Change the Subject they think is going to be the new One More Night. That one comes out in August.
Okay, cool.
I recorded it here next door with Paul Lipinski and Leroy Copeland on guitar and Michelle Spalding on keys.
Oh, hell yeah.
And it's, she said last night, they were like, this is going to be the new One More Night for us. That's the song that everybody knows the words to and sings at shows with us, which is the coolest thing. So I'm really excited about that song.
Awesome. When's the release date? Do you know?
I don't know off the top of my head because I just moved them all up.
Okay.
I was releasing every 8 weeks, and now I'm going to do every 4 weeks.
Okay,
be a little more aggressive because I have a lot of songs ready to go anyway. It's hard to wait, even 4 weeks. So I know that July 27th Straight to Your Heart comes out.
Okay.
And I'm really excited for that one too. That one I got a lot of interesting comments on too, because the whole thing is just imagery of like addiction and drug use, and people either love it or they hate it. And it's interesting how people like start to judge your relationships, like when you write about these things. So they'll be like, why would you stay with someone like that? I would never do that. I'm like, I'm not you, Karen. Like, I don't know what you do, but that's what I did. This is the story. And a lot of people went through this too. So Straight to Your Heart's coming out in July, and then it'll be in August, a month later.
Okay.
I'm not sure of the date off the top of my head, but that'll be Change the Subject. Those two are going to be awesome.
Why have you chosen to start doing every month? Is it just because you can't wait to get them out, or have you noticed that if you do it more aggressively, you're noticing better traction?
Yeah, Spotify really likes to see consistency, and I noticed that my monthly followers was a little over 4,000, and then it dropped when I got to that month mark. And I didn't put out another song. So I was like, all right. So I want you to keep feeding it over and over again. It's kind of it seems like a monster, but that's how social media is too. Like it wants you to just keep feeding it content all the time.
Right.
But I mean, it's fine with me because I'm excited to get them out there.
Do you ever feel like a pressure that you have to like write at a rate quicker than maybe you're feeling inspired to write?
Yeah, I worry about that all the time. I think that's my biggest fear, is that I will run out of material.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's a valid fear in my case. I never really sit down and write a song. I don't say like, I'm going to write a song today. I'm going to write for 4 hours. They just hit me. And usually when they hit me, I write 2 or 3 at a time.
Wow.
That's a crazy thing. I don't like it. It feels like mania
it's
in my
chaotic.
head. So I'll be writing like 2 or 3 in one day, and it's usually like the best songs are written in like 15 minutes. Like those are always the really good ones. So like Vampire is one of
Great
my
song.
favorite songs. I wrote the song in 15 minutes. I wasn't even trying. It just like it came to me, and I sat down and wrote it, and it was over. And then I'm like, how did I do that? I have no idea.
It's super catchy too. It's so I would imagine, what are you just like kind of hearing a melody and you're like, I'm going to get to work right now, and then it just kind of spews out of you? Or like, how much are you sitting there and kind of like working it out and forcing the song versus what's just coming to you?
The songs that I've put out, none of them were ever forced. I think the words come to me first. Usually that whatever that hook is going to be, or that earworm, is usually what I get first. And then I'm like, oh, this is a whole song. I need to do something with this idea. And then I build the whole song around that hook.
Okay.
And they usually hit me at the most inconvenient times when
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be doing something else, like sleeping or working or driving. And then I just build all the lyrics around that. But it's usually, if you have like a concept like that, that's a strong concept, like the concept of an emotional vampire, then it just flows. If you're just writing using those metaphors, and everything kind of is structured around it.
Right.
So I'm lucky and fortunate that I don't work that hard
Yeah.
at writing songs.
That's
I
awesome.
really don't. They just kind of happen upon me. Also with songwriting, I was thinking about this the other day. People think that I sit down and write songs so that I can put them on the internet, so that I can be popular and be famous and attract fans to myself. That's never what this was about. I was writing songs because there were things that I needed to say to people that I couldn't say for a multitude of reasons. Either like I had a partner that I couldn't talk to because it wasn't safe to talk to them, and I needed to say these things. And I was like, I'm just going to write them a letter that I'll never send to them, but it will help me feel better. I never intended to show these songs to anyone. This music project only started 8 months ago, and it was never a plan of mine. I was everyone's drummer. I played drums in every band. Drummers are always in 5 or 6 bands.
Yeah.
So I was just playing the drums and writing songs, but the songs were just a creative outlet. It was like a journal. It wasn't meant to be shared. And now I went to a few open mics and I played a couple of them, and people were like, wow. people would come up to me and be like, I relate to that so hard. And it validated my feelings that I had just as a human being. I was like, I thought I was the only person that felt this way. And it turns out a whole lot of people have been through similar situations. So it took away a lot of the shame that I had. It took away a lot of the resentment and the anger that I felt. And it validated all the feelings that I had. And then you just get addicted to that.
Yeah,
and you're
totally.
like, I got to do this forever.
All right, guys, this episode's brought to you by Best Buds CBD Store. If you're like me, maybe THC isn't always the right high for you, or maybe the legal status of THC has you a bit hesitant to indulge. So at Best Buds CBD Store, they have an array of CBD and Delta-8 THC products. These guys truly care about their service, so everything is meticulously sourced and prepared to deliver a top-notch product and experience. If you head to their website, you'll find all kinds of educational information regarding Delta THC and CBD. Not to mention, if you use promo code BotBPod, that's BOTB pod, you'll save 10% on your order. This is not a one-time deal. If you use promo code BotBPod, every time you place an order with Best Buds, it will give you 10% off. That's in perpetuity, forever. So head over to bestbudscbdstore.com and start saving on all of your CBD and Delta-8 products. Enjoy, guys.
I'm curious as to, you said something interesting about that you have to kind of, you have things you have to say. And the whole purpose of writing these songs was just to get it off your chest, right? I'm curious about what it is about writing that kind of alleviates some of that versus like sitting down and having a conversation with the person. Sometimes it's kind of like yeah, just writing it is enough to get it off your chest. I wonder like why putting a melody to it or putting it, over a chord progression kind of takes some of that away.
Yeah. That's such a good point. The thing about talking to a person's face is that you have to consider their feelings and their reactions and kind of the safety within that relationship. And if it's not a safe relationship, you're just not as free to say what you really want to say. When I write a song, I can say whatever the hell I want. I can be brutally honest. These songs that I write, if you read the lyrics, they're so honest and raw and brutal. And I was like, I just want to roast this person.
Yeah.
Like, I want to, like, there was one of them, like, Make Me Hate Me. I was like, I just want to roast this person, like, as hard as I can. And because I need to say these things, but it's not things that I would ever say to someone's face.
Right.
So music gives you this ability to kind of transcend social norms and do what you really want and be real.
Right. Yeah, I feel like there's this kind of element of it being performative as well. You are kind of in character when you're singing a song or when you're performing on stage or when you're in the studio, because if you think about like when you're trying to put this out there, you're not always in that same headspace that you were when you wrote the song. So there's an element of having to kind of shift that or like switch that gear on. For me, it's very easy to become very vulnerable when I'm writing and performing because I know that might not, maybe getting it out of me is like being done with it now. Like I've washed my hands of it. It's no longer me anymore. So now I can sit here and say it on a microphone or in the studio without worrying about judgment because I know it's not me anymore. Do you relate to that at all?
Yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot lately. It's funny because people so often on the internet and in real life, they hear these songs and they come up to me and they're like, are you okay?
Yeah.
They're like, are you all right? Are you doing all right? And I'm like, I'm so good. Like, I'm in a really happy, healthy relationship. Like, things are great. I wrote these songs, a year ago, 8 months ago, like a while back. Some of them, like Straight to Your Heart, I wrote in 2016. So, and it's really awesome how when I first wrote it, the way I sang it and the way I felt when I sang it has changed now. And now that other people are hearing it, I think Eddie Vedder talked about this on a Storytellers episode once. He talked about how like once you play a song publicly, you no longer own it and it takes on a new meaning based on the people that are hearing it and the collective kind of feeling that you get when you play it and sing it for other people. So I don't feel it all the same way that I did when I wrote the song. And when I play it now, I feel like it has a whole new meaning and it's almost like a celebratory kind of vibe than it is an angry or sad one.
Right.
which is awesome. It's like, like I overcame this and like F you, but I'm over it. And I feel like you can feel that energy in the room, which is really cool. But yeah, people check on me all the time to see how I'm doing.
Yeah.
But, I feel like when you're going through it, you usually don't sit down and write. It usually takes you a while till you're doing a little better and you've processed, and then you can write about it.
Yeah, totally.
So it's always about things that have happened in the past. But
Right.
people worry about me.
Well, I mean, a lot of the content is, even as you would describe it, like you write songs about, sad situations, breaking up or losing someone. Do you feel like that's where most of your inspiration is coming from? Or do you feel like even when you're at a high, like you're capable of writing about that experience too?
I'm glad you said that. I've been thinking about that a lot lately too. And where I'm going with this, the song Change the Subject is kind of about that. I was like, I could write these breakup songs forever. Like this person that I was with, they have given me material for a lifetime. I could just stay in that one lane and write breakup songs, I think forever, but I don't know if I want to. So Change the Subject. We were having a conversation in the studio. We were at Pine Studio recording Straight to Your Heart. And I said, guys, like, I know I've gone on and on and on about this person forever. I really need to change the subject. Like, it's time to write about something different and be inspired by something different. And Leroy was like, that's a song. You need to write that song. And I went home and wrote that song. And it's about, I need a new muse. I'm way too focused on you. I'm trying to change the subject. I'm trying to think through all the words. I can't keep going down the same broken road. And I don't want to think of you after every single note. So it's like, I don't want to keep this person alive now in my head or in anyone else's head. It's time to move on. So I think now the things that I've been trying to write lately, it's harder to write when you're this busy.
Yeah.
But the thing I'm leaning more into, I don't know if I'll ever write happy songs. I would really love to write some Harry Styles, like dance tunes that would be played at the club and like remixed and stuff. I don't think I have it in me though. I've tried to write love songs. I've tried to write happy songs. I don't find that very inspiring, but I do find that I can write about other experiences that are challenging, but not about heartbreak.
Yeah.
Like writing about your friends who are going through a difficult time or difficult relationships with friendships or just personal feelings and struggles you have with the world and like mental health, politics. Those are things that I can write about. I don't think I'll ever write a happy love song, but maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I would love to do a Harry Styles type of song. I would love to have that vibe one day.
You said that most of the songs that you write just kind of come to you and you don't really have to work that hard at finding inspiration. If you did want to write like a Harry Styles type pop song, have you thought about like just sitting down and trying to do that, like putting your head to it and just like working it out?
Yeah, I've just recently started messing around with GarageBand and I bought some recording equipment, and I think if I can, make a beat and come up with, I'm also a drummer, so I can create the instrument tracks. I think I could do that. I think I'd be better off doing it in a different process.
Yeah.
With that type of music where I create a really fun, upbeat tune and then I write words over the top of it. And, whatever kind of mood or vibe, whatever season we're in, that would be helpful. But I think I'm going to try to do that. I've tried to write some pop stuff, and I think my music in general is going in more of a pop rock direction, which is I never expected, because when I first started, people said, this sounds like Hole, this sounds like Nirvana, this sounds like Garbage, the band, this sounds like Courtney Love. And then I realized with my most recent release, The Key to My Door, I was like, I think I want this to be more pop. Like, I think I want the drums to sound more like pop, less indie and experimental and out there and more kind of in the mainstream, which some people have opinions about on the internet. But I think that's what I like.
I think literally, like, and I think opinions in general are kind of like bullshit when it comes to what you're doing as an artist. But I think at the end of the day, what's most important is just being authentic and sticking to what feels right for you, even if that means like changing shit up last minute or like, deciding halfway through something that this isn't what you want to do anymore. I think you really I think, like, not you specifically, but just in general, I think it's important for people to just kind of like really follow their instinct on what's right for them at that time. I am curious though, because like I find it hard to write about happy things as well. Even if I'm like writing about like relationship stuff, it tends to be to focus on like the hardships of it. I've always been kind of jealous of people that can write about happy things and like these upbeat pop tunes. And I've sat down and tried to write it, and it just comes off as cheesy and inauthentic. And maybe you guys can speak to some of this as well if you have any experience with it. But like I've always like, I feel like the things that some people have a propensity to feel certain emotions very intensely, and those are the things, if you're an artist, like that's what you're going to be writing about. I think, not to say that love and happy things aren't intense for you, but I think that there's something about hardship and a struggle that's just intrinsic in the creative process that might seem more natural to write about, I don't know, do you guys relate to that at all?
Yeah, love sucks, man.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I mean, if you want my 2 cents, I'm blessed with a great relationship right now, but there's always like a certain authentic thing that you can tell is missing from somebody that's trying to write a love song. Like whenever I listen to a really young person try and write a love song, it just never works quite right. You know what I mean? In a very kind of inexplicable, you feel it way. That's how it is for me.
Yeah, it's like a perspective that maybe is kind of like obvious, and you feel like maybe you're not contributing anything to the pot when you're like talking about such an obvious thing.
Right, or sometimes like just missing certain points. Like you obviously haven't experienced this because there's this and that, and you haven't mentioned that. We essentially like values.
Yeah.
In what you deem as great love.
But you've produced like different artists over the years. You've worked with different artists in that capacity, right? Like, have you what do you notice about people that are writing like happier stuff, more upbeat stuff, versus people that aren't writing about that? Like, is there a difference in personality, or or maybe they're capable of writing about everything? They just connect with every emotion so intensely that they can just write great songs about everything. I don't know.
That's hard, but I think that the people that do it really well are in the thick of it.
Yeah.
If they're writing the sad love song, it's because they're
in
there.
It, yeah.
And I think that's, for better or for worse, a great place to be.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
It doesn't get any more authentic than that.
And then you start to think about it, like, for yourself, like, am I just a miserable human being?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, do you ever, obviously you want to write a song like that. Do you feel like you're just more connected to the hardships of life? I don't know.
Yeah, someone said this to me last night. She meant really well though. This is a person that I like a lot, but she said, "Do you just like being miserable? Do you like to get into these kind of moods and stay there so that you can write more material?" I'm like, "No. Like, I wrote these songs because I was dying.
Yeah.
I was in so much pain. I had to write these songs. I don't sit down and write songs. I don't go like, I want to make a pop hit today because I want to be famous and I want to be on the radio and I want to succeed in music. It's like, I have to do this to live, to be able to function and get through my day. I have to say what the fuck I need to say.
Yeah.
Every word of it, unfiltered, without an audience, without somebody looking at me, filtering what I'm saying and judging and reacting. I just need to be able to express it. So I guess that's why it just comes from a different place. And I think, when I'm happy, I don't tend to feel like happiness is not a difficult thing to express. No one has a problem with you coming up to them and telling them how happy they make you, or how good you feel when you're around them. So there's just not a whole lot of, I guess, repression when it comes to positive emotions and positive feelings. So you're not really having to keep that to yourself. I feel like people probably have a tendency to write more negative songs and more songs about pain and hurt, because those are the things that we have shame around, or we have restrictions around because we can't express. So maybe that's the reason why.
Yeah, and I like there's this element again of like friction, right? That's just intrinsically creative, right? When there's friction, just there's a consequence of that. Maybe I just had this thought right now, but like maybe people that write like these pop bangers or like dance tunes or like that are really happy, maybe they're internally like not very happy. So those feelings of like great excitement and like looking forward to something is a departure from what they normally feel. So that does create a friction. So that intensity of emotion surrounding that kind of, excitement or whatever, love, whatever it might be, that is what they write about, because it is creating that creative friction for them. Whereas like if you're somebody that might, like if you're only writing about negative stuff, does that mean that you're happy all the time? Because that's the friction that you need, or you, I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
Well, music is a mood-altering drug, right?
Yeah.
That's why people listen to music. They listen to your song because they want to feel that particular thing. So that I'm glad you said that, because I noticed I listen to vastly different things from the music that I write. I don't listen to sad, melancholy breakup songs at all. I actually usually turn those off because I don't want to feel bad. I don't want to feel sad. I don't want to feel hurt. I don't want to dredge all that stuff up in my brain, which music has a way of just like digging out your worst memories.
Yeah, totally.
I listen to a lot of upbeat pop music.
Okay.
Stuff that is like nothing like what I play, because it puts me in a good mood. So I like what you're saying there. And I think maybe that would help me if I think about, instead of the words and what I want to say, if I think about the feeling that I want to have and the feeling that I want to give other people, that might be a better place to start for writing music like that. I love that idea.
Yeah. I want to kind of shift gears for a minute because I love what you're doing as far as like your setup goes with the band. So your background is a drummer, and now you're also playing guitar.
Yes.
And you're singing, obviously, and writing, and so you're doing this all at the same time.
Yes.
Okay, so how did you come up with that? And that must have been a mind fuck to start doing.
Yeah, so it's really, it was just like a lack of resources at first. It's so hard to find a drummer.
Yeah.
And being a drummer myself, my standards are so high. It's hard for me to even like find one that fits really well. We're working on that now, actually, because I need to be able to stand up and move around and like do kicks and jump off stuff and be exciting and entertaining. But the sitting down, playing the drums thing is kind of cool. Now it's sort of like riding a bike. I don't even think about it. I just, I'm a little limited in what I can do because I only have 2 feet. I think if I had a few more hands, I could do some keys and stuff too, and like maybe like some octopus limbs, and I could maybe get like a cowbell in there too. But I really started doing it because I was like, I can't get all these people together. It's so hard to have a band.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know how to coordinate schedules for 5 different people. I'm just going to do it all myself. I get that attitude sometimes where I'm like, forget it. I'm just going to do it all by myself.
Yeah.
I'm going to do as much as I can do, just me. And so that's kind of cool that it worked out this way. I'm not a master guitar player. I just picked up guitar as a second instrument because I needed to write songs and I needed to figure out, how do I put chords to the words that are in my head? Because I could hear the whole song in my head, and I needed to find a way to put that into some sort of form where you could tell what I was trying to do. And then often Leroy will help me expound on that and like make it into an actual riff. But I do enough to get by on the guitar for now. I would love to take lessons and get better. But drums are my primary instrument, and you can tell just in the way that I play the guitar too, and in the way the songs are written. It's sort of all about like that rhythm section. And but it's something that I enjoy doing. It's kind of difficult. I'm sore today. I did it last night, and the set was only 30 minutes, and like my body hurts from doing it. But it's cool, and it's something unique. It makes people stop. Otherwise, I'm just another girl with a guitar, kind of, and there's a lot of us, and it's not as interesting, but people will stop and watch me because they're like, oh, first of all, a woman on the drums is a unique thing in general, but
Yeah.
they're like, oh, she's doing the drums with her feet and she's playing the guitar and she's singing. So it gets people to pay attention and to actually listen to what you have to say, which is nice.
Yeah, totally. And I love that it's also, although you are kind of a one-person band, you have a band supporting you as well. So that kind of adds this next level flair that I think is pretty creative. And I think that's kind of the age that we live in now. Everything has been done, literally everything. So we were talking about this with, who did we have on last week? Oh, with Greg Hersey. Do you know Greg?
I don't think so.
He's a great percussionist and drummer and everything, but he's kind of gone viral on Instagram as well, and because he's got these really creative approaches to percussion where he's implementing it to modern styles of music, and the settings he uses for the backdrop and all this stuff, and it's like, well, that's what's hitting. It's not the fact that he's just a great percussionist. It's like what he's putting out there for people to consume is unique and creative. And I think that that's kind of the angle that people have to start finding now as artists. It's like, it's always been about something unique and creative, but now we live in a world that's so saturated, and it's also like, especially with rock and roll, and it's 50 years of predecessors that we have to kind of keep expounding on. And so to find that thing, I think, is super important now. And I love that you've found this thing. It seems to be working out for you. Like, you don't get like, I would get so anxiety ridden before every gig with the amount of stuff that you have going on stage.
You know what's cool about that is it was the opposite for me. I felt very self-conscious about my voice and very self-conscious about my guitar playing. And I was like, okay, you know what? If I'm playing drums with my feet and I'm playing guitar and I'm singing, I have no headspace left to be anxious and have a panic attack and talk myself out of playing this show. It really puts me like in the moment.
Okay.
Like, it's perfect for me. It takes my head out of everything else and worrying about what people are thinking of me and how I sound. And it requires me to use like the full function of my brain.
Okay. Are you typically like an anxious person?
So anxious.
Okay, so this gives you like a place to put it all.
Yeah.
I got you. Okay. Yeah, because I'm somebody who just kind of existing at 60 BPMs.
That's great.
But not to say that I don't have worries and concerns. I certainly do, but it doesn't take much to get me like going. So when like even just like on stage with electric guitar and singing, and then my pedals, like trying to like do that tap dancing while I'm singing and trying to play leads, like that gets me like so overstimulated where I start to like screw things up. Do you notice that like maybe you don't do one thing as well as you could because you're doing too much on stage?
Yeah, that's part of why we're looking for a drummer also, just so that I feel like I could sing better and also have just a wider range if I could stand up and kind of expand my lungs and have a little bit more movement. I feel a little restricted when I'm sitting down. I've got the guitar strap over me and I've got my feet locked in place. I feel really restricted. So I think that I'll be able to sing better and play guitar better if I'm able to stand up as well.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for that. Plus, you'll have a better range of percussion. Like, the songs are going to sound better and more filled out when we have a percussionist.
So okay, so you want to get like a percussionist on top of getting like.
I don't know. I think it might be different for every song.
Okay.
But right now we're just looking for somebody to get on the drums and rock out.
Okay.
And we have a couple people that we're talking to about that. So I think that will happen very soon.
Awesome. So I also love the social media content that you're putting out. I was looking at your Instagram, and the behind the scenes stuff is great. The promotion you're doing for the singles, it's like it's all very well done, I think, and like the music videos that you put out are really good. I love, especially was it Tell Me? Mm-hmm. I love like some of the editing choices that were done in that was like super cool. Are you doing this? These are all your concepts, and And like, do you have like people helping you with this stuff, or what's the process?
It really depends. Everything is different. Angel Toro does he did the video for Tell Me. He does a lot of videography in Jacksonville. He's amazing. He actually just came to my house yesterday and we did a very spontaneous music video for The Key to My Door.
Okay.
I'm excited to see how that turns out. And we're doing one for Vampire. He came up with the concepts for those, which I greatly appreciated. But for the everyday content that I put out, that's usually me on CapCut, just like trying to mess around. I'm not an editor at all, so trying to like learn and mess around how to put lyrics on there and make some kind of interesting transitions. It's mostly me just DIYing it, and sometimes I have my friends come and hold up. Like one of my friends will come and just literally take my cell phone and take video with it, and then I'll edit it later. So it's really a variety of things. Some of it's very professional and some of it is not. What's interesting is that I find that my most popular videos are these stupid little videos where I'm sitting on my floor singing a song into the camera. There's hardly any editing or work involved. It takes 2 minutes to make. People really want to be in your living room now.
Yeah.
Like they want to feel so personal. They don't like the creative artsy stuff as much. It doesn't do as well. But I'll get 12,000 views overnight on a video that I made in 2 minutes where I'm just singing into the camera in my living room.
Right.
And they love that, which is so strange to me. But that's kind of the world we're in now. People want personal, intimate content.
Well, that's, going back to what we were saying earlier, like that is the unique thing that's selling these days, because, all the artsy kind of like art for art's sake kind of stuff. I mean, again, like we're competing with 50, longer than that with that kind of stuff. I mean, just, years of predecessors with this stuff. But the one thing that people can't do is you, right? So it's like when we give them that piece of ourselves, that's something that's truly unique. Like nobody else can do that. So I think that's what, nowadays we're having to kind of like give people less of what's happening in our minds and more of what's happening just in life in general,
Yeah, it's crazy. And that's a whole other level of vulnerable. Like I used to think, oh, you can hide behind your keyboard and you can kind of be sort of whoever you want to be on the internet. But when it comes to music, that's not true at all. When it comes to music, that's the most vulnerable that I could ever feel, because it's like this is millions of people now. This is not just the 30 people at Jackrabbits. This is millions of people all around the world who can see this and judge this. And I had to get over it. I've been working on this a lot. Thankfully, I'm at a point now where I don't really care. But it was really, really hard to make those videos, those kinds of videos where you have to look straight into the camera and talk about your feelings right into the camera, no editing. Your eyes are right there and their eyes are right there staring at you. And that was so terrifying to me. And now I'll lip sing a song on the street in public and I don't care.
You don't care anymore.
I had to get over that though. It was very scary to me.
Yeah. I know it's a similar thing. Because like I've been trying to get better about doing like Instagram stories and stuff like that, and it's like one of those things where I'm very like introverted and I don't like talking to cameras. And ironically enough, I host a podcast, and so I've been getting better about that. But doing the stories has also helped me just get more comfortable with talking to myself, literally into a phone, which is like a whole different kind of thing. And then you start to notice. Like you take that and you're like, well, where else can I do? Like, what kind of setting can I do this in? Like, what else can I say that gets people more engaged? And then you have to keep putting yourself outside of that comfort zone until you can just walk down the street lip syncing songs. Yeah. And then it's like it's this whole thing, but it's so much of just removing yourself from what you're comfortable with,
That's been this whole thing. I've only been doing this for 8 months, and it's been, not only is this a ton of work, then I had no idea. People have no idea how much work musicians do. They really undervalue musicians, and they really underestimate the amount of work and time. This is a 24/7 job. It never stops. It never closes. It's not just pressure to put out songs every month and to keep not only do your songs have to be, unique and different and creative. And then you have to put them out regularly. Every month you have to come up with these new creative ideas, but now you have to come up with a new piece of content every single day. There are people who put out 5 videos a day every single day.
Yep.
And if you really want to be picked up by the algorithm, you have to just go so hard to keep having to come up with unique and different and interesting concepts for videos is so challenging, so much work. So you're always thinking about, new song ideas, new video ideas, new content ideas, 24/7.
Brain just doesn't shut off. It's like
Never.
nonstop. Even as we're sitting here talking, I'm like thinking about like other stuff. I'm fully engaged, but like just you can't stop. You can't like stop it though. It's like when you're talking to people, when you're on stage, you're always thinking like, okay, what kind of content can I be grabbing right this second that could be good to put out later down the line to give people a little bit of insight of what's not just happening on the day to day, but what's happening like while I'm actually doing the thing, and that's it's just it never ends. It's so much stuff, and then it's like at some point it's just too much for one person to do. So you have to start like outsourcing a lot of this stuff. And you're like, well, how do I afford that?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you don't. You just eat things until hopefully it pays off one day. It's just like, all right, well, that's why so many people have to like work regular jobs or like, do a lot of things like just side hustles and like, do bullshit gigs that you don't really want to do just so you can like get a paycheck to like pay for things that it's whatever. It sounds like we're complaining because like this is what most people have to do in every industry is get creative with how you bring money in and obtain resources, but it is hard as an artist because there's really no obvious way to put a dollar sign on what it is you're actually contributing.
Yeah. And it's kind of like, you just have to take a leap of faith. That's why I wanted to keep my name as Tori Nance, even though I have a band, is because I was like, bands break up all the time because it's really hard to invest time, energy, money into something that you don't know where it's going to go. But if it's Tori Nance, if that's the project, like I'm stuck with this forever, right? So I can invest. I feel better about investing money and time and energy into something with my name on it. I feel like I can sustain that forever. Whereas if I was in a band, other bands that I've been in the past, I don't know that I would have felt like I could really take that kind of leap of faith and do that, because you just don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, totally. And I feel like the relationship as it pertains to the responsibilities in bands, there's always going to be somebody who feels like they're doing the most, and then other people who feel like just disinterested or whatever because they feel shorthanded or whatever it might be. And naturally, that's going to lead to a lot of like confusion about who stands where in the hierarchy or whatever it might be. This idea of like a democratically run thing. Whereas if it's just your name, it doesn't really matter who's in the band. At the end of the day, you're branding yourself, and you can get whoever else to fill in the positions as needed. Of course, you want committed people, and there's ways to get people to do that without having to do this kind of arbitrary band name and try to give everyone a piece. It becomes very complicated, and it inevitably fails. And to me, it's why you see bands that just start to like break out and then they break up, because this is 10 years of bullshit before you even heard one of their songs.
Yep.
And now they're just starting to get some limelight. And then you wonder why they break up. Well, because there's so much internal shit happening there. I'm like hesitant to give it an example, but I've been curious about where the Revivalists are at right now. You know what I mean? Are you familiar with them? Mm-hmm. Like I haven't seen them put out anything in quite some time. Now, David Shaw's been putting out his own stuff, the singer, which is interesting. But I'm like, the Revivalists just started getting a lot of attention with "Wish I Knew You," and then all of a sudden, and they're playing like good slots at Halloween and like festivals and headlining, tours and stuff, and then you just kind of stop hearing from them, and you wonder like, well, maybe, something, I don't know. It's a lot of bullshit that goes into this before people start getting any real recognition, and then you wonder like why bands they stop when they're just getting recognition,
Yeah. And I can't remember what the statistics are, but it's like most likely that every band that's ever formed will break up. Like that's the usual outcome, and that you can bet on. But it's like, I'm going to write songs forever, no matter what, because I didn't start writing songs to be in a band. I didn't start writing songs to be on the internet or to be a professional musician. I just started writing songs because I freaking have to. There are some people like me that like, you just have to write songs. That's what you are. So it doesn't really matter how it turns out, but I'm very fortunate that the people that I have in my band right now are really passionate people. Michelle Spalding she's the one that really inspired me to do this in the first place. I ran into her at an open mic night where I was just killing time. And I played a couple songs and she came up to me and she's like, these are incredible. I didn't even think they were that good, to be honest with you. I didn't really have a super high opinion of myself at all. In terms of songwriting or anything else besides I knew I was a good drummer. And she was so excited. She's like, you have to do this. So I really started and picked things up then. And that was in November, so it hasn't been long. And then Leroy Copeland is super passionate about playing music, and he puts like his whole being into everything that he does. So I got really, really lucky with these people. And that's what I'm trying to find in a drummer too. And that's why we haven't settled on one yet, because we're looking for somebody who's just like really, really loves the music, who's really into it and wants to make it something. And that's easier to work with than just hiring people to come in and play. It's so much better when you have the passion there. You can really tell the difference.
Yeah, totally. It comes through in the performances. It comes through in the chemistry. Like all of it. It's super important. All right, well, I don't know if Chris told you, but we do a segment called Unpopular Opinions. Mm-hmm. And so we're just going to spout off some bullshit. It can be about whatever you want, literally anything. Doesn't have to be music related. And then we'll all just go and we'll just discuss it briefly. So this week, Chris, you want to start it off?
Sure.
What you got?
Riding the rail at a show is overrated.
Didn't you just say this recently?
Maybe.
Yeah, that's okay. We can talk about it again.
Well, I just checked the list, and that was on the list. I'm really outsourcing my brain today. Thanks, Google. Yeah, for the first time ever, riding the rail at a show is super overrated.
Yeah.
The mix is not great. Getting there, I do remember doing this one. Damn.
Yeah. You know what? We'll go to Jack, and we'll come back to you so you can come up with a different one.
Good call.
Jack, you have an unpopular opinion?
Wait, so just to be clear, riding the rail is like the
front row.
Oh,
at a
that's
stage.
what that is?
Yeah, like where you're like literally on the barrier that's separating the crowd from the stage.
All right, so I had a bunch of different things that I thought that was. None of them
it has
correct.
Nothing to do with cocaine.
Oh.
Well, sometimes there's a lot of cocaine involved.
It has a lot to do with cocaine.
Yeah.
I can neither confirm nor deny that was one of my options. I honestly thought you were talking about the monorail thing around town, like riding the monorail.
Jack has never been to a jam band show. That's clear, guys. He plays jazz. You'll have to forgive him.
Oh God, I can't do. That's like my worst fear. I think is being like crushed in with all of these people and not being able to get out. I can't do that.
Yeah,
I'm in the back.
Yeah, 100%. I if I'm not in the way back, I'm by the soundboard because that's where the best sound is to me. And it's like how you just slowly take the microphone away from Jack. It's just like.
Oh, wait. So I guess my unpopular opinion is that riding the rail.
Yeah.
Riding the rail should not mean the first row at the concert. It should mean what I thought it should mean.
What did you think it means?
Has good cocaine addiction.
No, I can neither confirm nor deny that. Although say no to drugs. But I think that's my unpopular opinion. I think riding the rail should mean you're riding the monorail to a super fun, kid-friendly Disney concert.
I don't know who taught this guy how to be a musician, but wow.
Oh man.
It was the public school system.
Oh yeah, clearly. This dude would still fucking give speeches at DARE classes. All right, well, Officer Jack, thanks for stopping by today.
He inspired a good one for me, though.
Okay, what's
Thank
yours?
you, Jack. The Jacksonville monorail is one of the most useless pieces of public transport that exists in any city I've ever seen. I didn't really think about it until very recently, but it goes like a mile. Like, what good is that doing? Like,
No idea.
it stops at one group of apartments and goes to a fucking public park. Like,
Yeah.
what is it doing? That can't be a cheap investment. Like, put more in buses, put more in anything but that stupid fucking SkyTrain.
Yeah. Have you ever ridden that before?
I rode it once at Art Walk, and I thought the exact same thing. I don't know if that's even an unpopular opinion. I think that might be a popular opinion that the thing is stupid.
Yeah, totally. I rode it one time for an art walk, like right before I moved here. We were like, Chelsea was working for like doing some work for this nonprofit, and they told us to ride that rail to get around downtown, and we did, and it was like there was nobody on it, and it's very like wobbly and unstable. It doesn't feel very comfortable, and like you're really high up in the air. They're trying to do what Miami did, which is like they have I forget what the exact term for it is, but we call it the people mover. and it actually gets pretty packed, and it's not very efficient, but it goes around downtown. It's above the city, and it just go, and and it's like real sketch. Maybe that's what Jacksonville is going for.
That's my favorite ride at Disney, the People Mover ride. It's like the lazy river, but without the water.
God damn it, Jack! This dude.
All aboard. Where's your train whistle?
Oh my god, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jack, come to every podcast, dude. You're gonna be like the punching bag.
I'll give him the key. He's the new Gene.
Yeah, he's a new Gene.
All I'm gonna say is Donna Deegan should have run on the sole fact that we need to make the monorail great.
And that's the clip, guys. I love it. Okay. What's your unpopular opinion, Tori?
This is so stupid. I'm afraid to say this because my friends are gonna stop talking to me. But I think Ed Sheeran is overrated, and I don't like his music.
Okay, that's fair.
I know, but people are gonna have a serious issue with me as soon as I get home and they hear this.
So I only know of the songs that are like on the radio. I haven't done like a deep dive on Ed Sheeran, but I mean, I think he's a great singer, and he can play the guitar adequately enough to write tunes. His music hasn't really hit me one way or the other, so I don't know. But that is super unpopular. People love him.
I know, and like his music, like there's no doubt, like he's a very talented artist. Like he totally deserves to be where he is. I just personally don't care for his voice or his face or his music at all.
So you don't like Irish people? Is that what we're saying here?
I just, okay. So I was in the car the other day, and I was with a friend, and I changed the station when the Ed Sheeran song came on. I didn't know it was Ed Sheeran. I listened to it for like 10 seconds, and I was like, I don't like this. And I changed it. And she was like, oh my God, go back. What are you doing? Like, you just turned off Ed Sheeran. I'm like, oh, I guess I don't like Ed Sheeran. And she was so angry. I went and listened to all of his songs, and I was like, yeah, no, I don't like this shit at all. I would not listen to this or pay attention to this at all if I didn't know he was famous and know who he was.
Yeah.
Don't like it.
I get that.
I'm sorry.
I just feel like he's one of those, like, he does the looping and singing thing. I feel like he was just on a bar gig one day, and now he's on stadium gigs, and he doesn't know how he got there. Because he's playing, like, he's a decent singer, he's a decent looper, he can play chords. He's doing what all of us are doing. I think someone, like, transported him there. Like, I don't know how he...
I mean, he's not doing what all of us are doing in the sense that he's, built this huge brand and now is selling out stadiums, right? And he writes...
built it.
I mean, yeah, but they built it around him, right? So there's like a, he's an artist in every sense of the word. Like he covers the full spectrum. I don't connect with his music on any kind of real level, so I can definitely sympathize with that. But I don't know. Have you listened to much Ed Sheeran, Jack?
Nothing beyond just kind of the popular hits that people will request out and about.
Yeah. What's that song, In Love with the Shape of You? I think that's like a catchy tune. That's it.
Whoever's writing his stuff, I don't know if it's him or not. I mean, it's it's good pop music.
Yeah.
You know? But it definitely kind of he has his own little niche.
Yeah, for sure. It's funny, like when when music has like reached a certain level of popularity, when the musicians just are like, I don't know if I haven't really paid that much attention to him.
Yeah.
Because like everybody else has paid so much attention to him.
The one story I've heard is from Rick Rubin, and apparently like he and Rick were like working on a tune, and they were at a gig, and like they were talking about it. He had to go, like Ed Sheeran went on stage, did the gig, comes off stage after the whole gig, and then starts being like, I figured out what we're gonna do with this bridge. We're gonna do this and that, and like he was like out there thinking about his tune the whole time. He was kind of like phoning in the performance and just like, all right, I'm gonna do my loops, I'm gonna sing my words, and I'm thinking about like something completely like not present at all.
I don't dislike that though. I think that that's totally fair. I mean,
we're performing is like its own kind of sacred space, right? And if you're out there just like studio work in front of 60,000 people, I think that's bullshit. And I don't like that. I think just go out and perform and set your stupid 4-chord song on the side and let Rick Rubin figure out what he wants to do with it, and just go out there and play your stupid loop song for people, and then come back and then talk about it. Don't be like, I got 60,000 people paying hundreds of dollars a ticket, and I'm going to go out there and go, the shape of you. And then like you're just like, actually, what about this bridge? I could... Yeah, fuck that.
Okay,
Chris
went from being relatively indifferent to just shitting all over Ed Sheeran.
You guys are going to go viral in a negative way,
Yeah.
and I'm sorry in advance for what people say, because they're going to come to his defense hardcore.
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, any attention we can get at this point. We just want sponsorship money, really. No, but I am curious about that too, because like I think that phoning it in is not good, obviously, especially when people are paying a lot of money to see you perform and the songs that they love. But if you can autopilot your gig, okay, in the name of trying to work something out creatively, it's not like he's dealing with personal shit that he's just like, well, fuck this audience. It's literally like, I have a new idea that you might love, so I'm gonna give you a performance that you're gonna accept while I'm working some shit out in my head to bring to you that you will probably really enjoy down the line. I think it's phoning it in for... I think there are acceptable things as long as the people don't realize that you're phoning it in.
I think to me, I just think there's not an acceptable phoning it in. Like, no matter if it's for good things or bad things, you're still phoning it. Like, you're there to do... your job is a different thing. Like, when you're in the studio, your job is to think about the studio. When you're on a gig, your job is to think about the gig. It's like, I don't think there is an acceptable, like, cool, you can validate it and, like, make an excuse for it, and that's, like, it is a positive thing, but, like, you're also, like, not giving those people their money's worth.
I feel you.
You know?
What do you think, Tori?
I don't know. That's a tough one. I feel like maybe in his case, I don't know if he can even help it. I feel like that's just how his brain works. And like I said, I don't dislike him as a human. I don't think he's a bad, like, person or anything. I just think his music kind of sucks. But but you know, that's probably not a thing he can even help. I feel like, you know, if that's how your brain is wired and it's just going all the time, like, I won't fault him for that. But there are definitely artists who, like, just go out and they do the bare minimum because they can do whatever they want at this point. They could, you know, sell a blank CD with their name on it, and that's bullshit, and that happens a lot.
Yeah.
They'll just put any, like, piece of crap together and put it out because of their name and brand recognition. But I don't think he does that.
Is that fault of the artist or fault of the fans for just taking, like, bullshit?
Yeah, I think fans need to stop accepting shitty music.
Yes.
Because that's happening a lot. And I think so people don't realize so much of the music that you like, you don't actually like it. You like it because marketing made you like it. Like the Barbie movie, I don't want to see that movie, but I've seen so many commercials for it and I've heard so much about it that now I want to go see it.
And also, like, the people that are in it, like, you know, if you like the actors, you're like, okay, well,
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is that we stopped caring about the product and we care more about the source. And I think that that's kind of where we're starting to go wrong with art. Somebody like Ed Sheeran can go on stage, and even though I don't really mind it that much, him phoning it in to come up with a new creative idea, I do understand why that could be a problem for some people, but it is accepted. And at some point, I think just in in really markets in general, whether it be some kind of goods or service, whatever it might be. I think that customers do bear a responsibility in what's being provided to them, because if you accept bullshit, people will give you bullshit. Like people work really hard, and if they don't have to work that hard at a certain point, they will stop working hard.
Well, and it's like music becomes such a cult, like of like followers and fans, that like you can't even be honest and say this song sucks. This
Right.
song that they put out is like a low effort song. You can tell, and it's not like their old stuff where they were really, really working hard. And it's like you almost can't say that. It's like blasphemy to music fans to call out artists now.
Yeah.
So you're afraid to do that, and I feel like they're kind of afraid to do that and admit that also. Like they won't admit it, but they know.
Yeah, it's like Jason Aldean.
God.
Yeah, you kind of took my punchline, but it's
Like people
course.
just are supporting this fucking song because they like Jason Aldean. It's like, dude, this song is hot garbage. It just is. No thought process went into it. It was just written to try and like piss people off, which is a shitty way to make music.
Yeah.
Like we can have differences in political ideas and perspectives, and all that's fine and dandy. But when we start like using that as a mode to be creative, it's just appealing to the lowest common denominator.
Yeah.
Is all it is, and it's a shitty way to make art.
Weaponizing music. Boo.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it. It's that. Anyways, we don't have to go down the rabbit hole on that one, but my unpopular opinion this week is, okay, this is a controversial one too. I feel bad for the Seagate sub people. Let's take, and here's my justification, okay? Let's take out the fact that there was a lot of corners that were cut, and that these were billionaires and people that whatever. At the end of the day, when they were confronting a real fear of their life ending in a moment before the whole thing went down. Like, just imagine that you are in that position, right? Especially the kid who's 19 years old, who barely really knew who barely had any idea what's going on in the world, right? And then you're in this moment, it goes dark, you realize something's gone wrong, and you're never going to see anybody again. That fear, that's terrifying. I don't care who you are. You have to feel some kind of compassion for that moment, right?
So at first I was so sad. Like I could barely watch any of the coverage because I was like, oh my God, like suffocating is like my worst fear. Like I can't imagine, because we thought that they ran out of oxygen. I was like, oh my God. And I was so upset I couldn't even watch it. And it didn't matter to me, like, that who the people were. I think when I got really angry was when I found out that the taxpayers had to foot the bill for the search and rescue. That's when I got pissed off. But as far as the people are concerned, like, yeah, of course, like you put yourself in that position and you just imagine like what it's like to feel like terror and fear. So I definitely felt bad for them. I think my empathy dissolved when I found out how much it costs to search and rescue for these idiots. And then and then I got really angry.
Yeah. I mean, resources for search and rescue, regardless of who it is, cost a lot of money, right? I mean, people go out every day, the Coast Guard especially go out every day looking for people that are drowning or have gone missing or something.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously loss of life you're sympathetic towards, and, you mourn that. But it's like one of those things, it's like, when loss of life happens at a super dangerous event, that was like a thing that could happen, like with like space travel and astronauts, or like NASCAR or base jumping. It's like that is like a very real outcome of like one of those things. And it's like, I don't know that billionaires quite grasp that. I feel like they're just like, we get what we paid for, like we can have whatever we want. And like I feel like in most industries there's like a kind of acceptance of like, okay, this is dangerous, like we're really getting into something here, but we're trying to push the boundary or something. Like I feel like these people were just like, this is another thing I can buy and do, you know? And so, like, I don't know if they, like, really realized what they were signing up for. And, like, maybe they did, you know, but there's, like, this kind of perception of, like, this is just, you know, something we can do for a vacation, or, like, this is, like, we can go do this when no one else can.
Yeah, okay. So I've been presented that argument too, and yeah, people do understand to an extent what they're signing up for, or sometimes they don't, and it's just like you're not thinking about the consequences. I don't think that ignorance is a reason to discount like a true primal fear that happens in the moment when you're confronting like certain death. You know, especially in the manner like it not. Let's say it did implode, okay, and it was instant. They didn't even realize that it happened. There's still like a moment where you're confronting the fact that we're not coming back to the surface, and we don't know how we're gonna die, and all of that anxiety and fear in that moment. You know, children are capable of doing terrible things to other children and to adults and whoever, and are oftentimes acting in ignorance or naivete. We don't discount the feelings they have about the consequence because of their lack of awareness about what they're doing. We just accept, well, maybe they weren't fully aware and now they're hurt or whatever, and we have to, you know, nurture that. I think it's important as humans to extend that same grace to people, you know, as adults in whatever scenario, just because any one of us could have been in a similar situation, maybe not that one in particular, but in one that we didn't fully understand the consequences and that we're confronted with those feelings, you know?
Yeah, I think that's just the extra layer that gets people, is like when people like get into these dangerous situations, like they kind of have a certain reverence for, like, you know, the magnitude of what they're undertaking, whereas I feel like they didn't, which kind of adds this just layer of like, oh shit, you know, like, because they might not have taken in, and then they get to that place of that like kind of final, just like, you know, before the end kind of thing. There's almost like a higher gap of just like, I don't know.
Yeah, I feel you. What do you think, Jack?
I mean, it's horrible what happened to the people, and I think a lot of feelings should be directed not towards the people that passed away, but towards the people that should have done something better and, you know, not cut corners.
Yeah,
to
totally.
Prevent this. Also, this could be a real opportunity for Ringo Starr to reignite his career with
Yellow Submarine.
I wouldn't call it that. But
Okay.
all I'm saying is, Ringo, you're welcome.
Oh my god.
You know,
Bring Ringo back.
You're gonna be all right, buddy.
Okay, dude.
Wait, what would you call them in it's not buddy, it's
Mate.
No, that's Australia. Oh, now I'm just thinking of South Park.
Okay.
You'll be all right, guy.
Okay.
Well, at least they'll have something to do in the octopus's garden, you know?
All right. Well, that's great. Thank you guys for that little contribution. Tori, is there anything that you want to plug before we get out of here? I think this comes out in what, like 3 weeks?
So I have a show, I guess, so this won't be out. That'll be old news, but I'll have Straight to Your Heart will be out by then. By the time this comes out, it'll be out on Spotify and all streaming platforms. And just look out for on my social media. It's at Tori Nance Music. I'm going to be posting all kinds of cool music videos that I'm making with Angel Toro on there. Dan Flores is doing some video stuff for me too. So just look out for more content, more professional content.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here today. It was a great conversation. I'm stoked for everything you got going on. Big fan, and look forward to seeing more from you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time. And thank you, Jack, for being here with us today. Love the comedic relief. It was great.
Send me my check, Ringo.
Okay. Peace out, guys.